probably the best stand-up in the racket.
He's funny. Did I say that twice? Oh, good. Well, he is.
Here he is. Personal favorite of mine. This guy, among the new comedians, is young and gifted.
Very much. You look great. That's all we need, another bright new young comedian.
Good friend of mine, a wonderful comedian.
Please welcome my old buddy,
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
Here he is, Mr. Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen.
And to this day, people say, "Who's Tom Dreesen?" It was a great start. Yes, I know who Tom Dreesen is, because I'm Tom Dreesen. And we're here today, and this is my co-host, Joe Goll.
Hi.
And what we bring you laughter, we bring you motivation, we talk about what's going on in my generation, what went on in Joey's generation.
Yeah.
The one thing we won't bring you is politics, because it's none of my business who you vote for. Mm-hmm. And just because I'm an actor and I'm a comedian, and do I have an ego so large that I think you give a damn who I vote for,
right?
Or that I can sway you. So if you're looking for politics, you're on the wrong podcast. If you're looking for motivation and laughter, that's what we do.
That's what we do. And I have my very young and talented co-host, Tom Dreesen, here. And like I said, I'm Joe Gull. And I always start asking you at the beginning of every episode, and we've been doing well. We're doing a couple podcasts here. Tom, how was your week?
I'm so glad you asked, Joe. Absolutely. It was a great week. I mean, I was busy doing a lot of things.
Sure.
I had to do People magazine wanted to interview me because it's Sammy Davis Jr.'s 100th birthday.
Today.
Coming up.
Well, coming up here.
Yeah, and of course Frank Sinatra's birthday coming up. And they want to interview me about my relationship with Sammy Davis, the years I toured with him,
sure,
and what I thought of him as an individual. And
sure,
so forth
yeah.
and so on.
People magazine reached out to you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I've done some interviews in my 56 years in show business.
Yeah,
you know.
sure, yeah.
Every now and then I say something profound that they like. You know.
Sure, yeah.
Not often, but sometimes.
Do you have like a go-to? I know we talked about Sammy a little bit in one of our episodes, but is there a specific story that you talk about whether touring with Sammy or knowing Sammy or what?
There's so many stories because he helped launch my career. Once I did my first appearance on The Tonight Show, I started doing other shows, and I did a show he had called Sammy and Company.
Yep. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but for my generation of people, give them a little like elevator pitch on who Sammy Davis Jr. was.
Probably, arguably, one of the greatest performers in the top 3 or 4 that ever lived.
Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr. Went into show business when he was 3 years old with his dad and his uncle dancing on stage, and the stage was his life.
Yeah.
The truth is, you know, you always hear that cliche, show business is my life. Show business was truly Sammy's life.
Yeah.
He lived for the stage every night. He could sing as good as anybody out there.
Yeah.
He could dance as good as or better than anybody out there.
Sure.
He could do comedy as good as any comedian. He could do impressions, in my opinion, one of the greatest impressionists that ever lived.
Yeah.
He could play the piano, he could play the drums, he could play the trumpet, and he could sing. Frank Sinatra said he never heard Sammy hit a clinker. Frank said, occasionally I'd hit a clinker. I never heard Sammy hit one.
Wow.
He was an amazing entertainer.
Yeah.
And for me, to sit in the wings, I toured with him for 3 years.
Sure.
Right after I did my first appearance on The Tonight Show, I did his show, and then he took me on the road with him.
Wow.
And to sit in the wings and watch him night after night, how he took command of the stage.
Yeah.
I've got 100 stories I could tell you about him. And no short stories or long stories.
Sure, yeah.
We'll get on with our program here. But to me, he was the Jackie Robinson of show business.
Yeah.
And for your young listeners who don't know who Jackie Robinson is,
right.
He broke the color barrier in baseball. Sammy broke down all kinds of barriers wherever he went. And Frank Sinatra helped him do that.
Yeah.
You know, what Frank Sinatra said in Las Vegas.
Right.
And years ago, way back in the day, black people could perform at the casinos, but they couldn't live there, stay there. They lived in, Sammy used to call it Color Town.
Right.
The other end of town, he called it, we had to stay in Color Town. That was what it was.
Wow.
Nickname. And Frank Sinatra said to the people in Las Vegas, if Sammy can't stay here, then I can't either.
Wow, good for him.
And Quincy Jones and Count Basie oftentimes swear by Frank broke the color barrier in Vegas for everybody.
Wow. Was it harder for, not to get off topic, but was it harder for a black artist to break through in those days? Because today, in the last, 5 to 10 years, hip hop and rap, it's the new rock and roll.
Oh yeah, no. In those days, certainly was, because it was like black music was. They stayed in the black community,
Sure,
and
yeah.
white music in a white community.
Right.
Nonsense. Oftentimes, even in the 50s, a black artist would break through into the white charts. Supposedly the white charts and stuff like that. And Sammy was one who did it with hit records. And Sammy appeared on Broadway. Sammy appeared on. There wasn't anything he couldn't do in show business.
Right.
He was in a soap opera one time.
Was he really?
He did everything. He tried everything.
Was he an actor too?
He was an actor. He was a singer. He was a comedian. He was it all.
Wow, and you attribute a lot of your career to him starting out with, yeah?
He gave me such solid advice, and I will end this story, and so we can get on with other subjects.
Yeah.
But when the first time I ever appeared in Las Vegas, Sammy took me there. He put my name on the marquee. Opening acts in those days would sometimes not get their name on the marquee, or very little. Sammy made sure my name was up there, huge.
Wow.
Huge. In fact, we'll show a picture of it here.
Sure, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And besides Sammy Davis Jr. and Tom Dreesen.
Yeah, and then he goes inside, and the conductor, Nat Brandywine, or the entertainment director, said, "Tommy, you'll do 20 minutes." And he said, "Sammy, it doesn't, the hour and 10, because he said we do an hour, 90-minute show." Sammy said, "No, I go on first because they serve food here. Comedians bomb.
Right.
And when they're serving food, waiters and waitresses running all over."
Yeah.
He said, "All the critics are going to be in the audience, and this is Tom's first time here. We want him to score. So I'll go on first, and I'll do 3 songs, and I'll bring Tommy out." Unheard of that the headliner, Sammy Davis Jr., would open for me.
Right.
And he would do 3 songs. By that time,
Everyone was hot.
all the
Yeah,
waiters
yeah.
and the audience was up to here. He would bring me out, and he'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, your audiences are like family to me," and they were, because he's been in the business since he's 3 years old.
Right.
He said, "And you've been with me through the good times and bad. So you're like family, and when family does something good for you, you want to do something for them, like maybe bring them a gift. I got a gift for you."
Wow.
I saw this young comedian, and he goes on, and he brings me out, and I would always come out with "Ladies and gentlemen, I've always dreamed I'd work Las Vegas, and I dreamed it'd be Caesar's Palace, but I never dreamed that Sammy Davis Jr. would be my opening act," and they would laugh.
That's great.
But he just was. The day of opening day, I was a little bit nervous. I'm in my dressing room. Rehearsal was done.
Yeah.
I only did a sound check, but I walked out on stage at Caesar's. No one was in the audience. It was empty. It was like 4:00 in the afternoon.
Right.
But I wanted to get familiar with the stage, this big stage.
Yeah.
Sammy saw me. He walked out. He said, "What's going on, baby? A little nervous?" I said, "Well, it's opening night, and I'm opening for you, and it's my first time in Vegas at Caesar's Palace."
Yeah.
He said, "See these boards on the stage? You earned every one of these boards. You deserve to be here. You belong here.
Wow.
This stage is yours.
Wow.
You earned the right to be on this stage. Don't let them take that from you." He said, if they could do what you do, they'd be up here. They can't do what you do. That's why they're out there.
Sure.
He said, "This is your stage. Walk out and you own it."
Do you tell that to young comedians
Oh, all
nowadays?
the time.
All the time,
All the
right?
time,
Yeah. Well, now that we talked about Sammy once again, I was in Chicago actually this past week. It's the holiday
Oh,
season.
well, let me start. Joey, how was your week?
My week was good. What does it say? It was, 7 days, 24 hours a day, But it was good. I went to Chicago, and I swear every time I go back to Chicago, I always come back 10 pounds heavier because come from a very large Italian family, and they always want to feed me pasta and pasta. Yeah, and pasta.
And midnight snack pasta.
And midnight snack pasta. And my grandmother always says when I come back, the first thing she says, she goes, "Oh, you look skinny."
I know. That is so
Good
Italian.
to see you too, Nana.
Yeah.
But that's why you call me Tubby when I get back to LA, which is okay because I work it off in about 2 weeks. But the holiday season around, and do you have any? I know you probably work so many shows during the holidays. Do you have any kind of specific stories or any kind of things that come to mind with either Frank or even Sammy about shows you did or?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite Christmas show that I did wasn't with Sammy or Frank.
Yeah.
But my favorite Christmas show was performing for the troops.
Oh,
And
wow.
because I'm an ex-GI.
Yeah.
So I know when I was in the service, if somebody could play harmonica for us, we were so just thrilled.
Yeah.
I was on 2 aircraft carriers, the USS Tarawa and the USS Essex, plus stationed at different parts of the world.
Right.
But if somebody, like on an aircraft carrier at Christmas time, if somebody would get up and just sing for us or, or some entertainer,
Yeah.
or So I always wanted to perform for the troops, and they're always with the best audiences.
Right.
I can't remember the exact year I got. I think it was 2004.
Mm-hmm.
David Letterman took me in his private jet, me and Paul Schaefer, and in his private jet to Iraq. We landed in Kuwait, and we performed in Al Tagadam.
Wow.
And we performed in Fallujah.
Wow.
And then we performed in Kuwait.
Wow.
And it was Christmas shows, but on the sad side, when we landed in Kuwait, after like a 15-hour flight or 16-hour flight, you slept on the plane and everything.
Sure.
We landed in Kuwait. We got out, and they held us up for a minute because they were putting there were bodies there. They were in coffins that were being sent back to America of our kids that were killed in combat.
Yeah.
And it was a sad arrival for me.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, and the master sergeant said, these kids wanted to go home for Christmas, but not this way. Oh. And I thought, whoa, man, this is what a way to start, But we performed there, and of course the troops were just ecstatic to see David Letterman.
Yeah, right.
And he was hysterical with them. And he'd have a sack of footballs, and he could throw a good pass. He'd throw footballs out to the crowd, and
really,
they'd catch them, and he'd do a monologue, and then Paul Schaefer would do some music, and they had a couple girl dancers from the show, and then I would do stand-up comedy. Yeah. And because I was in the service, I had a lot of material that I could do about being in the service, and I related a lot of that material to them.
I'm sure, yeah.
And to hear them laugh, just after what I first saw when I landed, to hear their laughter, how much that really meant to me, to make them laugh. And then at the end of it all, we would ask one of them, we'd find out in advance who could sing real good, to sing God Bless America.
Wow.
And to watch them kids stand up, men and women, all different races and religions, but Americans.
Yeah.
Singing God Bless America. It was chilling.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my most memorable time there. And what else is memorable, we flew in C-130s. Mm-hmm. You don't know what they are, but I flew them when I was in the service. Sure. Flew in them. And they don't have like seats. They seats along the wall on this side and seats along the wall on that side.
Yeah.
And you could take a tank aboard one of them. They had
wow.
Dave Letterman was on one side of me and I was on the other, looking at each other, and Paul and everybody. And when you take off in those C-130s, in the war zones, what you do, the pilot, they do, what they're afraid of is missiles. Heat-seeking missiles.
Sure.
So I forgot what they call it, but they take off this way and then this way, and then this way and this way. So you're going this way and you're going this way, you're going this way, you're going this way.
Yeah.
Anyhow, by the time we got airborne, and elevated, I go up to the pilot.
Yeah.
And they let me go up in the cockpit. I got off all my gear, my seatbelt and everything, and I go up and I'm here in the cockpits down below, and the first sergeant said, "Sir, we have comedian Tom Dreesen on board." And the captain turned around and he looked at me and I said, "Hey, Skipper, great takeoff. That was a lot of fun." And he pointed. I didn't do that. She took off. He pointed at the co-pilot.
Yeah.
Turned around. I was a young woman about my daughter Jennifer's age.
Wow.
He looked at me. She waved at me. I thought, whoa, man, how times have changed since I was in the service.
Oh, yeah.
We did that we landed that way, the same way.
Yeah.
What do they call that? Anyhow, to keep heat-seeking missiles, and then you'd finally land.
Wow.
It was really, it was an exciting trip, and I got pictures of it all. And just again, performing for the troops on Christmas, I can't think of a better way for a comedian.
Yeah.
A better place for a comedian to be.
Yeah, that's how I landed in Chicago. Because if you don't know, Chicago got, 12 inches of snow this past week and weekend. But when we were flying in, my best friend lives out here too, and he just so happens to be a pilot, and he's a private plane and instructor and whatever. And we were landing, we were going like this, back and forth because of the wind, right?
Turbulence.
And he turned to me, he goes, "This is going to be a rough landing," and I'm going, And I don't mind flying. The thing that I don't like when flying is when we're coming down and then they have to abort landing and then take back. Then I get nauseous, but I mean, we landed. Then he turned to me and said, "That was a fine landing." And I said, "You're a nerd, you know. You hate this."
What I learned to do when I was in the service, I flew off of carriers. Not as a pilot, as a crew member.
Yeah.
But I flew off of carriers, and I just learned to turn it over. Because on an aircraft
Turn
carrier,
it over to God, or
no, turn it over to the pilot.
Oh.
I just trusted that this
Right.
man, in those days, mostly all men, that they know what they're doing, or they wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I would turn it over.
Sure.
Because otherwise, I'm flying the plane.
Right.
I'm getting all
Right.
involved in it. So in aircraft carriers, when you go off a carrier, when you're catapulted off a carrier, it always goes down first before it goes back up again.
Yeah.
So you go off that carrier, you always think you're going to go in the drink.
Yeah. Always.
I know. And every whoa.
Yeah.
And then
Your stomach drops and everything. That happens on commercial airlines too a little bit. But I know you mentioned also that Frank Sinatra's birthday is around the holidays, right?
December 12th, yeah.
December 12th. Did you get invited to his birthday party every year? Did
Oh,
you?
yeah. I mean, I would, and I would go down and stay in his home in Rancho Mirage. He had a big compound.
Did he have like the Gatsby parties and all that kind of stuff?
No,
or was
he
it
didn't
kinda-
have theme parties
No,
or anything
right.
like that. In fact, he poo-pooed a lot of it because everybody,
Sure.
Frank Sinatra, he's what do you do for Frank Sinatra? And every year, that was when I first year touring with him, I couldn't thank him enough for all the things he does.
gift-wise for his birthday or
I want to buy him
right.
something for his birthday. What do you buy
A man who
for
has
Frank Sinatra? A man who has everything.
everything.
You know what I did? And I stuck with it, and he loved it. Every year, these are things I would recommend for all of you to do.
Yeah.
Every year there's places like this. In L.A., there's a Union Rescue Mission. There's a Salvation Army, which I really like the Salvation Army. They helped GIs when I was in the service a lot.
Yeah.
There's a Los Angeles Mission. And in those days, when Frank was alive, it cost, today it's like $3.50 or something.
Sure.
Would buy one meal for a homeless person.
Mm-hmm.
I would, and when I was doing it was $1.39 or something like that.
Yeah.
I would buy 500 meals for the homeless, and at every tray it says this meal was brought to you by Joe Goll or by Tom Dreesen. Or I would buy 500 for Frank. 500 homeless were fed. When they'd have a little card, this meal was brought to you by Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
Merry Christmas.
Wow.
Because you could put anybody there, your mother, your father, whatever.
Yeah.
Frank loved that gift. And so many times in the years I toured with him,
Yeah.
people would say, "Hey, Frank, thanks for helping me. I'd like to get something for you." He'd say, "Ask Tommy. Tommy gets me the best gifts."
Really?
That's what he'd say every year. And guys would come, "What'd you buy, Frank? A watch? You're going to buy Frank Sinatra a watch?
right.
A cigarette lighter?
Yeah.
What do you buy Frank Sinatra?"
Yeah.
I would tell him all the time, that's what I did. I'd feed the homeless
Wow.
in his name.
Yeah.
And he loved that idea.
Interesting. Speaking of feeding the homeless, did you?
But let me tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say to you out there. You got a mom, a dad that passed away, or a mom and dad that has things and they don't need it anymore at their age or something like that. Yeah. Or a friend that you love or you lost. Or, buy one meal. Buy one meal in their name. It's just, I think it's just a great way to remember people who have passed, mom and dads and grandparents,
Yeah.
So, and it's in every city, the Salvation Army and these places. So you buy a meal for the homeless in their name.
Yeah. I usually buy you a lotto ticket, but
Which is almost as good as feeding the homeless.
But no, speaking of the homeless, did you go, I forgot to ask you, did you go to, on Thanksgiving, did you go to the Laugh Factory?
I didn't go this year. It's the first time, but I'm going to Christmas. But I didn't go on Thanksgiving for the
How
first time.
come?
Well, I had the whole family was, at my daughter Amy's house. I had the not only my children, the grandchildren and the great grandchildren.
Great grandchildren.
You don't believe that I have great grandchildren. I do. But and it was such a fun. And I got up and gave a talk.
Oh yeah.
About which I really was sincere about it. About that. I had a father who never told me he loved me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have had parents like that that raised them, but I had a father who just didn't say I love you. He never put his arms around me, hugged me, and said I love you.
Yeah.
He didn't do it for any of the kids, so I wasn't feeling left out. There were 8 of us, 4 boys and 4 girls.
Right.
But a father's love or a parent's love, it can be transferred down. My mom would say to me sometimes, "I love you, honey." My mom would hug me, or, "I love you."
Yeah.
When I made a vow in those days that I was going to, if I ever had children, I was going to let them know every single day of their life that I loved them, ad nauseum. My daughter Jennifer will tell you that when she was 15 years old, I got behind her and I hugged her and I said, "You know, Daddy loves you." She said, "Dad, I know you tell me every 15 minutes." But today, Jennifer does that to her children, and that's my point. At Thanksgiving dinner, I said to them, the love, what this family is all about, our family is all about, it's about love, it's about loyalty, it's about support.
Yeah.
The love that I received, I passed on to my children. And then I watched my children. I watched Amy when Jennifer was born, how Amy watched over her younger daughter, her younger sister, I mean. And then I watched when Amy's children were born, how much Jennifer, my daughter Jennifer, showed her love for those children. Right. And then when Jennifer had children, how much Amy showed love for. And I kept saying, the love trickles down. Right. And then it trickled down to our grandchildren, to our great-grandchildren.
Great-grandchildren.
And so I said, and that's what we are. We're a family of love. Right. And that's what I want to celebrate. That's what I'm thankful for.
Sure. Were the holidays always something? Did they mean that much to you? Because growing up, and I come, again, a very large, loving Italian family, and I remember, at my grandma's, the 7 fishes we did, the bacala and the oysters, which nobody eats the bacala, by the way, and just the love was, I know you grew up 8 brothers and sisters, your dad drinker, mom drinker. Was that kind of holiday, magic not there for you growing up? Or
to be honest with you, if I reflect upon it, it was very sad in so many times that we didn't actually have like other kids did. Yeah. We didn't have a lot of gifts or things like that. You might have got a pair of socks or maybe 2 things at the most. And one Christmas, my dad drank and gambled all his check away.
Are you serious?
My brother Glenn and I stole the Christmas tree that we had. We stole it. There was a place called Garfalo's in Harvey on 154th Street, and they sold Christmas trees in front of the store and on the side of the store. Yeah. And when the guy was busy on the side of the store, my brother and I grabbed a tree and ran down the street.
No kidding.
We actually stole the Christmas tree we had because we didn't even have a Christmas tree that year.
Wow.
But again, none of that. I always look back. I always say that that's the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because it showed me that life isn't always a bowl of cherries,
right.
And that how do you overcome those things, You have, and I did, and went on to become, as you know, I give motivation talks now that to help other people that may have experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
But we lived in a shack. I've said this so many times. We had no bathtub, we had no shower, we had no hot water.
Right.
Half the time the heat wasn't working. We had like a little kerosene stove, and then we got a coal stove one time, and you know where you get warm if you stood in front of it? Yeah. And get your front warm, but your back was cold, so you didn't. Then you had to turn it back. You try to put 8 kids around that, you know?
No shot. Yeah. Did you guys all sleep in? I don't know why I never asked you this, but did you guys all sleep in one room together?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you serious?
One time there were like 3 of us. We had one big bed. 3 or 4 of us would have to sleep in that bed. Yeah. It was really again, it was like a Charles Dickens story.
Yeah, I was just about to say, that's insane.
So, but again, it bonded us. A woman wrote a book one time called "Adult Children of Alcoholics." Her name was Judy something or other. But I read that book. I thought I was reading my diary, because it basically said how the children of alcoholics bond, and my brothers and sisters bonded. To this day, I have this incredible, wonderful relationship. My one sister, Darlene, passed away from multiple sclerosis. From complications thereof. Yeah. But anyhow, again, if I allowed myself to dwell upon that childhood, it would have affected me in so many ways.
Right.
I did drink a lot when I came out of the service and everything. I finally one day just quit drinking. Yeah. I didn't go on a program or anything. I just said enough. Right. Basta. I had enough.
Right.
But so I learned from those, and that's what life is all about. Life is not a bowl of cherries. No. It isn't joy, every single day of your life. There's going to be hardships in your life. It's how you overcome them and how you mentally put them in your mind. Right. Can I use this as a mechanism to go forward, or I use this as a mechanism to stay down? Right. And I chose to go forward.
And I know you didn't, have any aspirations of even thinking about becoming a comedian as a younger kid and into your teens, but were you always cracking jokes even when you didn't have any heat? Were you in the household? Were you always trying to make everybody laugh?
Oh, my sisters will tell you stories. I would. My dad sometimes would come home. He'd be reading the paper. he'd be reading the paper, and I tell my sister Judy and my sister Margie, you have to do everything that I do, okay? They'd say,
Oh, no.
okay. They were little kids. Judy's 5 years younger than me, and Margie's 7 years younger. She meant, they're little guys. Okay, Tommy. I'd go and I'd say, reading the paper, huh, Dad? He'd look up and say, yeah, yeah. Judy would walk in. Reading the paper, huh, Dad? He'd go, yeah.
Oh, no.
Margie'd walk in. Read the paper. What the hell is going on over here? I was always, and it would crack me up. I would do things like that. But I got into laughter. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I shined shoes in all the taverns in my neighborhood. And my uncle owned the bar where my mom tended bar.
Yeah.
And he would tell jokes behind the bar,
Right.
which I thought was cool as hell.
Yeah.
Hearing this guy with his vocabulary and his vernacular, causing this sound to come out of everybody's body in the bar,
Right.
and uniting them.
Right.
All of a sudden, everybody in the bar was as one.
Right.
I thought, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I would, as I said many times, I would tell his jokes, many that should not be told on a Catholic school
Sure,
playground.
yeah.
But so I was always interested in laughter, but I never thought I'd be a comedian. That was the furthest thing from my mind.
Sure, yeah. And you always say, I know you always say, develop a sense of humor, laughing at yourself. Did you instill that in your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids and greater-grandkids?
That was one of the things I brought up at Thanksgiving, too, how we have a sense of humor, and a sense of humor is not when you have the ability to laugh at others' shortcomings or misfortunes, when you have the ability to laugh at your own.
Yeah.
My daughter, Jennifer, her husband, Don Garber, Don will sometimes...
The Don Garber?
The Don Garber, that's another story. We'll tell you that story someday. But he'll say something funny and Jen might be the butt of that joke, and Jen will laugh as hard as she'll laugh as hard as anybody else.
Yeah.
And Amy, I mean, they have this great sense of humor that they know to laugh at themselves.
Yeah.
Amy's husband, Bart, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Bart will poke fun at himself. The whole table will crack up.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. He loves it.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I also point at Thanksgiving, that we're that kind of family. We're a family of a sense of humor. Don't take yourself so seriously.
Right.
Psychiatrists would probably tell you 60% of their patients are there because we take ourselves too serious. We're not that important.
Oh, my
We're not
gosh.
all that important. You know, laugh at yourself. That's the greatest gift that God can bestow upon you, is a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And laughing at yourself, is, in my humble definition, is what a sense of humor is all about.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of set you up here, but I know you got a story about Frank Sinatra and his sense of humor when the two women tried to walk into the bar.
Oh, that's what happened was, to show you a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Him and I, there was a bar down in the desert that it was on Frank Sinatra Drive.
Yeah.
Sidney Chaplin owned the bar. Sidney Chaplin was a son of Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin, yeah.
Yeah. And he actually, Sidney was an actor and was on Broadway and Bye Bye Birdie and different plays and stuff.
Yeah.
But he opened up a bar in his latter years, and it was Sidney Chaplin's bar. And Frank would like to go there, and Frank stayed out till dawn, whether we were on the road or off the road. Well, Sidney wasn't going to keep the bar open till dawn, but he'd give Frank the key. Lock up when you go. And, of course, Frank would always leave the money there. And sometimes they'd leave a bartender there, and the bartender loved the steak because Frank tipped big.
Right, yeah.
But one night, or I'd go behind the bar sometimes because I was an ex-bartender.
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
And I'd make him a drink. You know, what did he drink? He drank Jack Daniels, Jack and a Splash. It wasn't, like, hard to make.
Right.
You know. But anyhow, we were sitting there, we were talking, and I was talking to Frank like this, and over his shoulder was the door. Now, we always lock the door. You know, Frank forgot to lock the door. And the bar's empty, of course. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. A station wagon pulled up behind him, and I saw a woman driving, and another woman got out of the car. They were like in their 50s.
Yeah.
The woman that got out of the car, she comes in behind Frank.
Yeah.
And she said, excuse me, did they have a jukebox in here? And Frank Sinatra turned around and looked her right in the face and said, I'm sorry, what did you say? She said, did they have a jukebox in here?
Yeah.
Frank looked around and he goes, no, I don't think so. He goes, I'll sing for you. She said, no, thanks. And she turned around and she walked out. And she obviously didn't.
Yeah.
Frank's looking at the door where she's going out like a little boy. He's looking at her like this. I said, she obviously didn't recognize you. He said, maybe she did.
Oh.
Maybe she did. And we both started laughing. You know.
What a line.
But, yeah.
But he wasn't a serious guy, was he?
Oh, he could be real serious.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, Frank had some mood swings, and there, you know. And I saw him get angry at people, and I saw him getting, and I made up my mind. I swear to God, Joey, this is a true story.
Yeah.
I loved him. I loved him for all the. I was a fan of his before I met him, but I never let him know how much of a fan I was. I never let him know how much in awe of him I was.
Sure.
Because I knew that would end it.
Yeah.
He didn't need another fan. He
Right.
wanted a friend, a pal, a buddy.
Yeah.
When we first started the tour, he was the head of the tour. Of course, he was the biggest guy in business.
Frank Sinatra, yeah.
So I treated him like he was the head of the tour.
Right.
Years go by and we became friends. He was like a buddy, and toward the end of his life, he became like a father to me.
Yeah,
So-
wow.
But I made up my mind. I saw him go off on a couple of people. I said, if he ever does that to me, I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to grab his hand and say, Frank, thank you so much for all the years you gave to me. Thank you. I've enjoyed myself. And I was going to walk out because I'm not going to be a whipping boy.
Wow.
What
What do you mean go off on him? Just kind of give it, like, curse him out and
Oh, yeah.
all
If
this
somebody they did a shortcoming, and he had, by his own admission, he had mood swings.
Yeah.
He once said on an interview, he said, I'm a 24-karat manic depressive. He said on I think it was Walter Winchell interview years ago. And he knew that, you know.
Yeah.
But he never, that day never came for me.
Yeah.
He never, ever, I never had a problem with him, you know.
Wow.
And I'm glad because, again, you know, before I met Frank, I was working all the time. I was doing a lot of shows. I was doing all kinds of television.
Do you think you would have actually done it? You think you would have actually walked out?
I actually would have. I'm not going to, I'm a man, you know. I mean,
Is that your dignity? Is that your ego? What is
it's
that?
just that, you know. I mean, the years I spent in the military, you respect your officers above you, the ranks above you,
Right.
and you respect the rank of them.
Right.
You know, you don't always have to respect the man, but you have to respect that rank.
Yeah.
But then I became a petty officer, and I had men working for me.
Sure.
I knew what it was like to see men dressed down,
Yeah.
read the riot act like in boot camp and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always thought, that's a shame. You know, I would never want to do that to another human being, and I wouldn't want another human being to do that to me.
Right.
You know, to take away your dignity. You know,
Right.
And I loved the man.
Yeah.
And I would have told him that. I shook his hand, and I'd walk away. But it never happened.
Yeah.
We just had this great relationship. I was a pallbearer at his funeral, and I spoke at his funeral. You know, and I miss him every day of my life.
Yeah. And I know you said you were the one to calm him down too, right? You knew how to kind of.
Well, I've been around people who drank. Frank drank. He liked Jack and a Splash. He drank daily.
Right.
And so, I mean, not before the show. Always after the show. He never would. Yeah.
Really?
And at the, there'd be like 2 songs to go, and he would toast the audience with Jack and a Splash.
Right.
You know? But because the show was always important to him. You know, the show was a command performance.
Yeah.
Every night.
Yeah.
You better show up on time. Know what you're doing, because he knew how the show worked.
Right.
You know, and it was to me an honor to be on the same stage with Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
So I was always prepared and always changing material like he wanted me to do.
Yeah.
You know, so I forgot the question.
We were just talking about Frank, and I actually did too. You were talking, and I was thinking about Jack and a Splash, and he never drank before the show.
No,
and, yeah.
no, but
he was a serious guy.
Yeah,
and-
but that day never happened, and I would have. The answer was, would you have done it? Yes,
Yeah.
I would have done it. You know.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
We go off on so many tangents
Yes,
that
I
it's like
know.
there's so many questions.
One thing I want to
within
tell you is
questions
that what I would, as a comedian,
Uh-huh.
one of the biggest joys you can have is, like I said, performing for the troops,
Right.
performing for those who are keeping our country safe.
Right.
That and hearing their laughter,
Mhm.
but hearing my children's laughter meant as much to me as anything else. Before I was ever a comedian,
Uh-huh.
I always liked to hear my kids laugh, and I went out of my way to make them laugh. They'll tell you stories. I'd be in a car with them. The kids would be in a car.
Yeah.
I'd come to a stop sign. There's nobody around. And there'd be a song on the radio, and I'd say, "You hear that song? What a great beat that song has." And they're looking at me, "What is he talking about? What a great beat. You know, that song has got a great beat. Listen to that. You know, that song would make a person want to dance. I think I'm going to dance." I'd open up the car door, and I'd get out in the street, and I'd start dancing. They'd go, Dad, get in the car, Dad." I'd be dancing, and I'd say, "No, just want, and get in the car, Dad."
Yeah.
And I'd get in the car. Now, I did that so many times. One time we pull up to a stop sign, and a car pulls up alongside of us, and my kids are going, "Oh, hi, Sherry. Hi, Billy." It was friends of theirs. And I got the radio, and I said,
Oh no.
"You know what? Listen to that song.
Oh no.
It's got a great beat." They go, "Oh, no, Dad, no, Dad, no, Dad." And I jump out of the car, and I start dancing, you know. And the kids are going, "It's your dad?" Now, another thing I would do, I used to work the midnight shift on a loading dock in Chicago before I was in show business, of course. But I worked a midnight shift, and I'd come home, and my kids are all getting ready to go to school. And sometimes I'd hear in the other room, I'd be like in the bedroom getting ready to take some, hit the sack. I'm tired, been working all night. And I'd hear them talking, oh, hi, Susie, hi, Larry. The schoolmates and stuff would come. They're going to all walk to school together. I would put on, I'd have like my pants on backwards. I'd put on a shirt, like a coat, and maybe no shirt but a tie.
Yeah.
I'd put like a goofy hat on. My wife would have hats in the closet, and I'd put a goofy hat on.
Right.
And I'd walk in the room and I'd say, what are we going to have for breakfast? They go, Dad, and the other kids would go, that's your father, that's your father. And I love, but today they laugh about it.
Yeah.
I love to hear their laughter.
Yeah.
My children.
My mom always tells me, she says, I know your voice so well, in a crowd of 1,000 people, she could pick me out.
Really?
Do you think that's true with your kids too?
I never asked them. That's a thought. I would think so, because all the years that that you raise them. And
I don't know why. She always told me that. She says, if you yell in the crowd of 1,000 people, she said, I could tell who.
Well,
who you were.
that's a mom's. Shows you a mom's heart and her love.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
She sends me, crosses all the time. She's still sending me crosses.
Oh yeah.
There was a joke when I moved into a new apartment, and she helped me out with kitchen appliances, and then she sent me, a cross to put up on my wall, and then she said, yeah, here's another one, put up in your bathroom and in the kitchen, and then the living room, and then another one for your room, and now I have crosses everywhere, and that's what I get with an Italian mother, anyways. But we're gonna wrap things up here. Do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, we talk about all the time about don't be afraid to chase your dream. I always like to end with some kind of a motivation. Don't be afraid to chase your dream. It's scary, isn't it? It's very scary sometimes, and you're thinking about, I'd like to do that, or I'd like to be this, but I don't know if I could be. And it's scary. And the thing is that if your dreams do not scare you, then they're not big enough. Yeah. That's one of the quotes, that if your dreams do not scare you, they're just not big enough. Yeah. And every good thing in the world balances on the razor edge of danger. That's not my quote, it's Thornton Wilder. Every good thing in the world balances on the razor edge of danger. And if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Think about that.
Yeah.
So go for it. Go for it. You're here for a blink of an eye, whether you like it or not. In the annals of time, this planet has been here for 5 billion years. So in the annals of time, 100 years is a blink of an eye. It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
You're here for a blink of an eye. Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for whatever is your dream. Go for it.
Yeah, being uncomfortable too. I don't know why that sticks with me so much, but being uncomfortable, doing things that, maybe I will do this, maybe I'll do that, maybe I will chase my dreams, So.
Well, I wanted to end with that, but you just brought up a topic that I like to say.
Yeah.
That a lot of the young comedians say, they're brand new, and they'll say, I get scared before I go on. I said, learn how to work scared.
Yeah.
That pilot who lands a 747 with 300 people aboard, 400 tons of plane, lands in the snowstorm.
Right.
You think he's coming down whistling Dixie? But he's learned to work scared.
Yeah, always.
And that's so. Don't run from it. Okay, so you had a little fear, and of course, challenge that.
Yeah. Go towards it. Go towards it. All right. Well, make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Subscribe. We're on Spotify Podcasts, Apple Podcasts at Who's Tom Dreesen, and this was pretty fun. We'll see you. We'll see you next time. So.
It's always fun, Joey, because that's what we do. We want to bring you motivation.
Right.
We want to bring you laughter,
right.
And we don't talk about politics because it's none of our business.
No politics. No. Good.